closed cell phone. And it just.
Foam is not like hard plastic, like you see the sport floors, it's not that.
Right, it's foam. Do I have any with me? I don't.
Last for you in place.
It depends, there's a lot of variables, like, if it's outdoors, it doesn't last as long as, you know, sun.
Sun UV. Yeah.
If you do something to your pool water that makes the chemicals get out of whack, that kind of thing. But we warned for 5 years.
Okay.
So, and then they'll often last long, so.
Do you find people doing this around the world?
I have a
Like,
thing I'm gonna read out.
are you more commercial?
We're more commercial. We
You
don't
are,
do a lot of
okay.
signatures. Just because we're the,
I don't think so.
and they're pretty.
Also-
expensive for residential.
Yeah, to do with somebody's pool, it wouldn't be. Gotcha.
But Jonathan has it, and he's got a pool, he's got it.
Well, it kind of has an in.
Yeah, it does.
Hello, Arch Consulting. Welcome to the 24-hour preliminary round of CoMIS 2023. My name is Henry Jonas. Today's presentation will be judged by JJ Parker, Mike McFarland, Mike Stifel, Eric Selvig, and Emily Miller. You'll have 25 minutes in total, 15 minutes of protected presentation time and 10 minutes of Q&A. During the protected presentation time, judges are not permitted to interject and ask questions. If you finish your presentation before the 15 minutes end, you will still only have 10 minutes for the Q&A. There will be a hard cutoff at 15 minutes, and we will be giving you a time warning when 3 minutes, 1 minute, and 30 seconds are left via these papers. So I'll just go. You guys ready to go?
Yeah, awesome. Okay, hi, everybody. Welcome to our Solutions for Life floor, and good morning. I'm Sam.
I'm Arnav. I'm John.
And we are very excited to present our solutions for you here today. So first, the agenda, we're going to go over some overview, problem statement, then our 2 solutions, and then finally impact and financials. But first, who is LifeFloor? LifeFloor is a $7 million company in revenue, company creating non-slip floor tiles for pools, locker rooms, and splash pads. They're based out of Minnesota currently, but they have projects going on all over the world. And they have little competitors in this industry because their innovative technology has made parents feel safe and kids have fun. With this innovation, though, they're having issues with manual data entry and disorganized processes that are causing too many time delays and too many data errors. This brings us into our pain points for specific key members of the organization. The sales manager has really long wait times for quotas, and he has to manually record opportunity and specifications in 2 different places, Slack and NetSuite. And then he must create a new instance every time info is changed and relay that information to the designers. The VP of design has manual counting of tiles and has to recount the tiles at every new design request. And lastly, the shared services, Suzanne, she has to manually input the counts for tiles, then manually input customer info and specifications. And then if something is changed, which let's face it, clients are a little picky, so something's going to change, she has to manually re-record everything all over again into NetSuite. Now I'm going to pass it off to Arnav for our first solution.
Thank you, Sam. So beginning with our deep learning model. Deep learning is a branch of artificial intelligence that uses neural networks to convert raw data into meaningful outputs that a business can use to improve its operations. A key feature of deep learning is its ability to process large amounts of data and of any type. But a main differentiator from other AI systems is its ability to learn through training by feeding it past historical data. And this inherently, through training, allows it to mimic the human brain. It can perform functions after training that humans can do to a greater degree and with greater accuracy. But how does deep learning apply to LifeFloor? We're proposing an AI model that has 2 main functions. The first being a tile mapping feature that can take floor designs and immediately quantify it into meaningful data. And this data will then be translated into the second part of the model, which is cost predictions, to compute immediate soft quotes about any project. And both of these functions will be trained under supervision, meaning giving it past data about projects, costs, and requirements, and allowing it to get better and better and optimize its algorithm until it's accurate and you can deliver it and work with clients. So let's take a deeper look into this model. So beginning with our computer vision-based tile mapping. This algorithm will take inputs of floor designs and be able to extract key features or parameters, as they call it, such as the color by looking at the hex codes, the shapes by analyzing the boundaries of organic shapes, and then using this information to ultimately determine a count of the square tiles, the custom tiles. as well as other complex design requirements, such as inlays and overages. Now, how does this actually work? The computer vision model will, for example, take this sample floor design from Mass Burlington and use a 3x3 matrix that will go over the image. And as this matrix goes over, it looks pixel by pixel, looking at the red, green, and blue color values. And after going over it multiple times, it is able to extract these features and ultimately give this sample output information, such as the color of this, the colors in the design, but also the counts of the squares, the counts of the custom tiles, and other metrics such as total tile coverage, project area, and project perimeter. This information now will be translated and transferred into the second part of the model, which is cost prediction. Now that it has the fixed costs of the tile specificity, such as the count, color, shape, and inlays, the algorithm will have embedded variables, such as design fees, installation costs, and shipping costs, that it can predict based on these fixed costs, and ultimately produce an accurate soft quote that can be handed off to clients. Now, what would it take to implement an AI model like this? The first step is contracting a full-time data scientist and software engineer for a span of 4 months. But in order for them to succeed, it's necessary to give them the vital tools they need, such as Amazon SageMaker, which provides necessary machine learning services and cloud platform to make these tools. Then they'll go on to build this model that will have these two very innovative and transformative functions to analyze floor designs and compute project quotes for any floor design. And as they're building this model, towards the later end of the stage, they will utilize supervised training. This means giving it information of all the past transactions. So giving it that Burlington design, other designs from around the world that they've already created, and allowing it to predict costs, allowing it to predict project requirements, and then telling the model whether it's right or whether it's wrong. And if it's wrong, by how much. And over time, it will get smarter and automatically optimize its algorithm to be effective. Now, looking back at the pain points that Sam mentioned, we can see that the AI model solves a bunch of them. Now the sales manager no longer has to wait long periods of time to deliver soft quotes to their clients, and now can deliver them with more accuracy. The VP of design and other designers have essentially all that manual grunt work done for them. They no longer have to count the tiles for hours, and especially if there's a design request made, they don't have to redo the entire process. And the shared services member doesn't have to manually input this data, since we can have the algorithm auto-populate the data into the database. Now, as you can see, not all of the pain points are solved yet. So let me pass it back to Sam to tell you more about our second solution.
Thank you so much, Arnav. So our second solution is to reorganize the process of data entry that LifeFloor is currently using. Because as Arnav said, even with AI, there's still problems and pain points within manual data entry. So introducing FlowLoo. FlowLoo is a project management software that can be integrated with NetSuite after the bid is accepted, so that only one instance needs to be created in NetSuite for each project, rather than creating an instance every time the project is changed. It has pricing for all company sizes and numerous features like messaging, client portals, financial modeling, tracking, and most importantly, the CRM interface, which is what we're going to primarily use it for. It also has a great commitment to work with customers to ensure software needs. Before I get ahead of myself, you might be asking yourself, does FlowLoo even meet the basic needs of LifeFloor? And the answer is yes. It does way more than Asana did, which we know was not successfully integrated into the company. And it does everything NetSuite does, plus it has more communication tools than Slack does, getting rid of the need for Slack. So if it has the same basic functions as NetSuite, why are we using FlowLoo for the customer relationship management software? That's because FlowLoo has a lot of shortcuts that eliminate the need for constant manual data entry and re-entry before the client accepts that final bid and the quantities are sent off to the manufacturer. This is through shortcuts like autofilling customer needs, designs, and specifications based on an intake form linked directly to the LifeFloor website. And secondly, it automatically updates project tasks and changing specifications as the salesperson works with the client. And lastly, you're able to import files like the file that Arnav's AI generation machine will spit out of quotes and quantities, and they can be imported directly back into the project channel for everybody on the team to see and use easily. Now let's look at how this is going to be implemented. So everyone knows Disney, everyone loves Disney, and Disney loves LifeFloor. So the sales manager will create a new project within Flowloo and work with the client to fill out that intake form. The intake form will then auto-populate all of the customer information and specifications directly into that project channel in Flowloo, so the designer can then look at those specifications and create the design in Adobe. The design then runs through the AI software. Again, it spits out those quantities and files of different pricing, and that file can be directly imported into the project channel by Suzanne. This eliminates time because she doesn't have to, move data over from one place to another, and it also cuts down on errors because the file can be directly imported. And then, of course, clients are picky, as I said, so they might make some changes. And instead of remaking an instance in NetSuite, the sales manager can then update tasks and specifications, and it'll automatically alert team members that a change has been made and they need to change their designs. Then they rerun through that previous process, and then once the design and quote is finalized, the salesperson can easily export those materials that are relevant to the client directly from the project channel into the client's portal. Then Disney accepts the bid because, again, they love LifeFloor, and the final quantities can then be entered into NetSuite only once for the internal accounting purposes and the ERP of LifeFloor. Now, let's take a look back at these pain points. We've covered all of them, as the sales manager does not have to put his information into two different places. The client fills out a form, it automatically auto-populates into the project channel. And he doesn't have to create a new instance and relay the info to the designers through Slack every time a change is made. He can automatically make those changes in the project channel, and it updates designers and team members as well. And Suzanne no longer has to input specifications because those auto-populate from that intake form we talked about earlier. And lastly, every time something changes or anytime there's a new project, she doesn't have to manually re-record everything into NetSuite over and over again. She only has to use NetSuite once at the end of the project when the client has accepted the bid. Saves her a lot of time and a lot of mistakes. And now I'm going to pass it off to John for our impact. Ooh, sorry.
Whoops. Thank you, Sam. I think what's particularly exciting about our solutions is not just are we optimizing the workflow, but we're enabling people to do what they're really passionate about, succeed in their roles. Having quick turnaround times enables a sales manager to not have to worry about whether or not the quotes are getting right, or if he's getting what he needs on time, whether he has to make false promises to the client or under or overestimate. He can focus on managing the client relationships. Having the project management and client relationships all in one place means he doesn't have to think about what's going on with logistics. He can focus on what he's good at and focus on providing value to the company. The VP of design can focus on designing rather than counting squares. What you really want her doing is investing her time in things that are meaningful. And I think that with Floor Life, a lot of your value add is to your innovative and exciting designs. Allowing people to reinvest in those exciting areas of the business is an exciting proposition. Furthermore, for shared services, you only need to enter things in NetSuite once. You don't need to play the game of bring around the rosy, and the changes in specifications no longer need to be manually re-entered. The overall impact is not only are your employees happier, but you're building a better and stronger company. In customer service, the salesperson can focus purely on the customer relationships and trust in the fast, efficient quote system from the AI. Using this time that you have extra now, you can expand the business, exploring new areas and allowing people to reinvest in the company in new and exciting ways. Furthermore, you can use this streamlined work process to undertake more projects at the same time and trust in your AI system to do it right. Employees are happier, the company is working better, and your clients are more fulfilled. This is particularly exciting in custom projects, which is an area that Floor Life may have struggled with before. Currently, it takes 5 minutes to up to 2 hours for tile counts and 5 minutes, 2 hours for quotes. This is frankly a waste of employee time. You shouldn't be doing this, and it's a waste of customer resources. Artificial intelligence can meaningfully cut this down in almost every single area, getting you down to 5 minutes for tile counts and 5 minutes for quotes for a 98% efficiency gain. Moving on to the financials, you're still with me. In the cost breakdown, we estimate this to be a $70,000 solution. Most of this is coming from the AI development with the data scientist and software engineer, costing $36,000 and $31,000 respectively. This is obviously a little bit, but I think it's well worth it. You're looking at top of the line products and you need to reinvest the proper talent and capital to get the results that we need. You also want to give them top of the line services, and you trust in using AWS, which is an industry standard for AI and machine learning capabilities. You can see that we do have to pay a little bit at the beginning, but purely on the mistakes avoided from data entry alone, you are making everything back tenfold. We estimate a 3.5-year payback period purely from the mistakes that are eliminated from data entry. And we also expect exponential growth in the amount of time savings. You can combine this to get a 2.17-year payback period. And that's not all. Other synergies are possible. When you allow people to do what they're really passionate about, I think that we will find expansion areas that we could not have even predicted. Through AI and Flowlu, I think FloorLife can, backed by AI and Flowlu, I think that FloorLife can expand in ways that we might never have thought possible. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Why would we keep NetSuite?
That is a great question. So I think that NetSuite is a great software for ERP, which is just the internal accounting and supplier procurement. Flowlu doesn't really have that like integrated software quite yet. And also in the case, on the case question and answer, there was a specification that they would like to keep NetSuite, and any recommendation that we give should be able to be integrated with NetSuite's internal accounting and supply chain purposes.
Thanks.
Would Flowlu then replace the communication we're doing in Slack?
Yes, Flowlu has a lot of great communication tools. They have instant messaging with both clients and team members. They have email, like Gmail, Outlook integration within that project channel. They have comments on posts. You can easily tag people, and it just offers that integration of the project with Slack, basically.
So would then historical Slack data somehow be able to be imported into that so we wouldn't lose old information?
Yes, Flowlu does have the opportunity to download different files and sort them based on historical data. So you could download all the back files from Slack and keep them in a specific file on Flowlu. So if you ever need that information, it's not lost.
Can you go into the oh, sorry, go JJ, no.
I was just gonna ask, so the machine learning model you mentioned was going to also calculate the cost. Right? How do we load like the cost of the manufacturing process, the cost of the tiles into the AI model so we get accurate quoting?
So here's a kind of a basic visualization of how that model will work. So this is called a multi-layer perceptron model. So this is a very simplified image, but essentially it's going to take an input layer of the fixed costs, and then it'll start with these nodes of these kind of variable costs that we've identified, which are design fees, shipping, and installation. And long story short, how this model works is we add like kind of values for like how much installation costs would relate to different fixed costs of tiles and stuff. And there's other like variable costs that are integrated within installation and within shipping, like shipping overseas from China, or is it shipping from within the US? And then it'll go through this model and ultimately predict the cost output. And how training works is we feed the data from the start and go through it. And as we tell it at the end how accurate it is, it essentially, you can imagine the circles kind of changing sizes based on how much weighted they are. And that's ultimately how it's trained in order to produce.
Part of the training is going to be, we're going to run a bunch of these, then we're going to analyze the cost of our jobs, and we're going to say, hey, AI model, that one was, yeah, you quoted that one too low, quoted that one too high, and then it kind of figures it out. Is that how that works?
Yeah, exactly. So that will be done within the first 4 months. Therefore, we don't like have issues with clients. And over time, ideally by the end of 4 months, it's very accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Following the thread on that a little bit further. So in your financial proposal, you're saying we're going to hire a data specialist who's going to help sort of build this out. And that's the upfront time to get the machine learning to really be ready to go and kind of validate on existing projects. I think that's what you were saying. It's like, we're going to learn off of existing projects and what that would be, so that when you do go into, as JJ said, 6 months later, and now we can pull the trigger and it's actually doing real contract work that's happening today. Can you tell me, so this particular software tool is called what again? Flowlu, right?
Yes, Flowlu was for
the project.
For the project management. We're using Amazon Web Services to host the machine learning.
Ah, there you go. That's where I wanted to ask. Is there development work within the machine learning? And is there a turnkey software? What does that cost? And maybe was quick because we were going through slides. What's the total spend for Flowlu, the supervised learning? I think you had a slide there. I just want to understand the breakdown. Is there reoccurring charges? Is it software as a service? Is it licensing?
Yeah, so for the AWS, you do need to pay continuously. In order to have a server, you need to invest $150 per month. What the data scientist and the software engineer are fixed cost. Although that you could do AWS definitely, we estimate that you will finish training within the period, so you don't have to pay for that.
All right. Ongoing charges though. The software is going to be running on a cloud, right? So it's going to run on, for now, Amazon Web Services. That software, is it getting developed over here on the right? So it's custom to our solution. We're not buying off the shelf software for this AI machine learning. Is
There
that what-
are existing products within AWS that you can build off of. This is a little bit customized. You can use some of the off-the-shelf stuff, but you would need to tweak it a little bit.
Okay, so the software engineer is really going to get me something that's specifically for life itself and what we're trying to do. And then probably software support is going to come from who and where?
Yeah, so like in terms of support maintenance costs, we anticipate just the complexity of the nature of the project for it to be able to, be self-sustaining after the period of 4 months. There would be other recurring costs such as like continuing to use, like Amazon charges like 10 cents for every like 1,000 iterations. So in the context of LifeFloor, that cost would be very negligible.
Would I have to have let's go back to the support. This is software, it's custom built. Generally speaking, they're gonna build it, but then there's the ongoing, oh, we need to tweak it, we need to make changes. So will I have a reoccurring software charge because I have to have software engineers? Or will I contract out when I need it?
Yeah, so the hope is that within those 4 months, so this is the cost, the $67,000, that is over a period of 4 months within the first year. And they build the software and then they use those 4 months to train the software based on historical data. So hopefully by the end of the 4 months, you don't need a constant cost of software upkeep. You can have your AI model, and then if there are tweaks, you would have to contract that out. But as Arnav was saying, an hour of work for a software engineer or data scientist runs about $50 an hour. If you had to pay them for a day's work of just debugging a couple of things a year down the line, that's a pretty minimal and negligible cost.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you. And then, oh, sorry, last follow-up question. I'm so tired for my other judges. How much was Flowlu as an annual charge? Is that per person?
That's for the whole business. That's the model based on, we use the data from the case that there are about 20 employees in the US at the moment. And that to host 20 employees on the same service is $150 a month. But there are discounts available. So we didn't take those into account.
No, that's okay. Thank you. So make sure I understood what the number meant. Thank you.
What are the biggest risks?
So I think for Flowlu, the biggest risk is going to be making sure that employees are really getting onto that software and really using the project management service for all of its opportunities and all of its potential. But as we highlighted the different pain points that are going to be resolved, I think that it will be very easy to communicate with employees how using this project management service with AI will make their job so much easier. And, everybody goes into work hoping that they get to do what they love. And so when they realize they can just spend more time doing what they love, they're really going to transition over to these softwares and to the AI. Arnav, if you want to take risks on AI.
Yeah, I mean, the potential risks is like the sunk costs of paying for this model and for it not to work. But we've done like thorough research and looking at Amazon SageMaker specifically, just its capabilities. This is just a wealth of different tools that Amazon SageMaker uses. So the risks associated with not creating like an efficient algorithm, Amazon Web Services provides support like with their own employees, as well as these already created models that we can build off of. So those risks of creating our own system for LifeLore is minimized.
I'm sorry, I think I'm getting all the presentations mixed up. Did we talk about the CAD integration to the Amazon SageMaker? How are we gonna take our design and get it into the Amazon and have Amazon do its magic to spit out something?
So if I understood your question correctly, so the CAD maker, combining with the Adobe, the final design of the image that has the color, that has kind of the metrics, that would be fed into this computer vision algorithm. And this is just kind of an example of like a
I get how it works. How does it get fed into?
You simply just input the image. And since the image already has color and like shapes and boundaries, it can automatically extract that information.
So I think what integration, it's just upload it and then,
It's as simple as that.
and then once that comes out, somebody has to manually enter it somewhere else.
No, that's the beauty of it. We can have the algorithm at the end with simple code, auto-populate that information into our Flow platform.
Nice.
Oh,
Or to make them go.
Great,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We'll have it at 10:30, so you guys have 5 minutes.
All right, thank you.
And then, yeah, there's no, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.